Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Leon Block. It's your guy, John Tell. Yes, I am live. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We will be restreaming to Twitter later on, and we will have the episode uploaded to Spotify. Don't you worry. We got every social media platform on lock except for TikTok, but we will be back up on there shortly. We are joined with Natalie Dohman. Friend to the Leon Block has been on the show before. If y'all remember the episode Black Woman Fetish that we did for my Facebook and YouTube viewers, you can't see my face. It's all about Natalie. I thought I was looking a little shitty today. I'm not, however. You can check me out on the Instagram, though. I am live on Instagram, a little behind the scenes thing. If you I see I got some viewers right now. What's going on, fam? I don't know who that is, but hi to you too. So tonight we are going to be talking with Natalie, who runs an art gallery, but it's so much more than an art gallery, called InDesign Art House LLC in Carlisle, PA. Am I right?
Yes. Yes, and you got the name right too. A lot of people are like, how do you say that? And you like nailed it.
I think it's very catchy, and for me it sticks. It's just it's a phrase and a title that sticks. And speaking of sticking out, you are the first Black owned art gallery storefront as well in Carlisle. Am I right?
In Carlisle, yes, in Cumberland County. There is one in Dauphin County, Niuzi, but in Cumberland County, I am the first. Yeah, I believe I am. Yes.
Well, you know what? That's I had to give you a round of applause for that. Because that's something big right there, and I think that will speak volumes to like the kind of stuff that we'll get into tonight. I think that plays a big part. Am I right?
Yes. Yes, it does. It's yeah.
Well, again, I want to welcome you back to the Leon Block. We have talked in detail about having a bunch of different episodes amongst a few different topics, but I felt like this one would be best to start off with first because it gives people a little more insight into who you are and what you do first. So I want to start off with asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh wow. So I let's see. I'm an artist based out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I actually am known mainly for my murals and photography and digital work. So I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania. I came to Central Pennsylvania in 1997, actually Camp Hill area, and I wasn't really a fan of Camp Hill. And a friend bought a house in Carlisle and was like, "Hey, do you want to share the space and rent out the bottom half of it?" And I said, "Sure." And I moved to Carlisle and I fell in love with it here. It has been really good for me. It has been nurturing as far as my creative side. And I really like it here. And then I just opened the business. April 9th was our opening day, our grand opening. So we've only been open a little bit over a month, and it's been incredible.
So what I guess I could say, what about your upbringing? Because I want to connect some things here. What about your upbringing? Because you're biracial, right? Right? Were you raised by both your parents? Tell me a little bit about that first off.
So I was raised in a predominantly white household, not even predominantly. Every family member was white. Um, and in Wilkes-Barre in the 1980s, it was still controversial to be biracial,
Yes.
to grow up in a white house. It was not very welcoming. It was very tense. It was very stressful. The man that I thought was my father, who was a Black man, we just did a DNA test back in August, and it came out that he is not my father. So I grew up with my mom and a stepfather named Robert. And honestly, like I will give Robert some accolades for the business side of me because he was a banker and we would do exercises every morning. He would like to sit and count money with me and make sure that I had an understanding of like finances. That was his big thing.
Mm.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom until we moved to Camp Hill, and then she worked for a trucking company. And my brother that I grew up with is also a white man. So I grew up with nobody that looked like me.
Mhm.
I did have a lot of support in the school system and the church. My parents went to an African American church, which was interesting. So I had a lot of support there. My family was very much blended. So my stepfather, and where my name comes from, because his name is on my birth certificate, Dohman is actually a German last name. It's actually Dachman,
Wow.
originally. And my stepfather's grandparents were actually from Germany and came here. So I have a lot of Europeanized history in my life and family. I have a lot of just culture, period. And I love culture. I love different people. I love cultural foods. I love dance. I love anything that shows what a person like who they are. So the art house, like the HAUS, the German aspect of that, actually gives homage to that side of my family also. And the ND is my name, Natalie Dohman. So in design, and it's a play on the Adobe sign.
You sly dog, you. That I I love the double meaning there. I really love the double meaning there. Is there a reason that is there any kind of influence that your parents had on you gravitating towards art, or was it I know we talked about, mental health and depression, and I know you've dealt with like different ailments in your lifetime. So do those things have any play or part in your love and your passion for art?
I'm going to be completely authentic and transparent with this interview and completely honest,
Hmm.
because that's who I am and that's how I roll. But I grew up in an unsupportive household with my art, honestly. Um, my mother is actually a classically trained pianist, and I'm also a musician too. I grew up around a lot of Bach, Mozart, that kind of stuff. Everything was everything that was European was proper and right. Gospel music also graced our house, but not in the extent that the European classical genres and eras did. From a kid, I grew up like painting. I painted on the walls, and I would get in so much trouble. I
Oh,
got in trouble for it. And I grew up in an era and a time where people would say that you're not going to make a living off of your artwork. I mean, how often
right.
do we hear that? And then from my mom is Polish and Czechoslovakian too, so her parents were very, very strict. My grandparents, and to be an artist, a female artist, you just didn't do that. You didn't that wasn't a thing. So it was like my parents did like get me like John or Paul Nagy drawing books, and I watched Bob Ross and stuff like that, but it was more of a hobby. It was not a future career or anything that was substantial. um and then when I would try to experiment with it, my there was a lot of intense critiquing of it. It was never right. It was never perfect. My colors were off. So that was another thing too, that like a barrier that I had to overcome as I got older, because people, if you think of my art, you think of color. And
Hmm.
I found out later in life that I have synesthesia, by eye doctors actually that I worked for, and that explained why my use of color is so vibrant. But as somebody who's used to classically trained or traditional like landscapes or traditional, and not necessarily like impressionism or anything like that, my colors would look wild or vibrant.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny because that's my signature now. So I would say that I didn't have necessarily a lot of support. My parents never were like, yes, yes, be an artist. My grandmother on my stepfather's side, she is the one that is the reason why I keep going. She passed on a couple of years ago, but Nana. was her name. And she always told me, "Oh, you're so talented. You're going to do great things with your art." She was the only voice that really like kept me going when I was younger. And whenever I thought or like tried to think, "Oh, am I going to give up on it?" Like I can hear her literally saying, like, don't ever stop, like painting or creating. So I would say that it was my extended family that kind of helped me
Mm,
foster the artistic side.
mm. I love that detailed story because that was a bit of information that I really have a piece of information on the side of you that I really actually haven't heard of or gotten before. We really haven't dug into that side of things. We kind of talk about uh the ways of society, if you will, and that's what we're gonna get to. Don't worry. But I just wanted that little backstory real quick. um, really quick. We talked a lot about uh I'm just gonna say it. Black people and white people and their different takes on how um constricting, domineering, condescending, damning, either can be, or both, or all, in a multitude of different ways. I have some commenters from Instagram um that says it only takes one, referring to your grandparent that was really there to inspire you and push you. She said it only takes one. May she continue to rest peacefully.
Thank you. I promised myself I would not get emotional tonight. So yeah, thank you. That really, that's a good, yeah, that's good. And that is true. And for the commenter that commented that, absolutely, I've had quite a bit of support that has literally rallied behind me to share my message and share my art with the world. And I feel like I'm in my universal flow. Like there's no stopping, there's no going back now. And it's cool because kids that look like me come into the store and they bring me gifts and stuff just for me being where I am. It's pretty cool because never when I was a kid would I expect somebody that looks like me to be a business owner, or an artist. Yeah. So it's pretty
Seriously.
cool.
You just real quick, you dressed up as Bob Ross the one day,
I did.
or a couple
Got
days.
my hair
Yeah.
out, everything.
I thought that was really dope because like what art is for you, geography, travel, maps, are for me. And I grew up watching all these. She said, "Keep going, Queen." Yes, yes. For me, I always see these, these white guys on TV, traveling around the world and talking about different places. And all the time they really keep it Eurocentric and talk about Europe. But then when they do go to Africa, there is this bit of uh disconnect. And I always felt like, you know what, I can do that too. I can provide a voice for places and people that want to see themselves in that too, and can see themselves in that, and then want to be them that for someone else. So you just seriously keep going. Um,
I wanted to go back to what you were saying about the
yeah, yeah,
the white expression of
yes,
creativity in the blacks. Were you heading towards a question with that? Because that's something that
yes.
I.
Uh-huh. Specifically first with like, so when you were still up and coming, because now I see you as hot shit. So when you were still up and coming, did you get any kind of support or backing from the black communities? And what was that support like? How did it manifest?
I would say the support is equal across the boards from the Black community, the white community, all of it. When I was like, I moved to Carlisle 4 years ago, and I started even before that, like back in like 20, probably 17. I was starting to get invited to different events, like mini art fest, like art festivals,
Mm,
that kind of stuff. And then people, I started noticing a shift where people just wanted me there. Like they didn't care what I was doing, but they just wanted my presence there. And I was like, that's interesting. Um, but yeah, I've been involved. Like there was a Black Cultural Festival, and that was awesome. And Safrania Perry, which is the councilwoman here in Carlisle, she invited me, and that was huge. I was teaching dance at the time, and my dance troupe came, and they killed it. I'll post a link in the chat about that because it was a
Yes.
really good memory. Because a lot of those kids, it hit me too that a lot of the children were white children, and they might have not ever been to a Black cultural festival. So by coming to that and performing, it gave them a little bit more culture to experience. And then then COVID came and destroyed everything. And then they invited me back this past year, and I've just been like crazy busy. But I have had support from both communities. I mean, it's like anything, like with your words, hot shit. Whenever you whenever you start to grow or you become hotter shit, you also get the kickback from people who don't like you and they don't want you to succeed. But the focus is on the people who want you to succeed. And as the age old adage says, that good always outweighs the bad, or positive always outweighs the negative. That's absolutely true. There may be people, oh, who was it? Cardi B, that was like, I just want to take a minute and thank my haters because y'all are downloading my songs and you're paying me by hating me. Like it's
Yes.
and then she's like, ah. But it's true. I mean, like not everybody's gonna love what you do.
Right.
Even with what you do with your platform, but the
Yep.
people that do love what you do, if your heart is in it and you're trying to just push something positive, you absolutely have like a backing and support, no matter what. So I would say that yeah, I did have a lot of support from the Black communities in Harrisburg, Lancaster, Carlisle, all of them.
I like to say, the time old adage, what is it? Bad publicity is good publicity. Any publicity is good publicity. If someone's talking about you, they're still talking about you. Which is lending you energy. It's still someone thinking about you. Someone advancing what you bring to the world. Uh, I wanted to shed light on that though, because a lot of times in our community, speaking to people of color, specifically Black folk, a lot of times what we are shown on TV, and it becomes a microcosm in our own communities, is over competition. Competition can be healthy and it's important. However, a lot of times we have people that see someone really doing something well, and we don't want to give them congratulations or lend support. And I think that this is the perfect opportunity to make light of that it's important for us to big up somebody when they make accomplishments, especially within the Black communities. Every first should get acknowledgement and celebration. You being the first, in your area, deserves that recognition. And I think that when it comes to our Black communities, no matter how big or seemingly small the accomplishment, we have to come out and show support. So I just wanted to touch on that unity from that side of things.
I appreciate that a lot. I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense to me logically, like why people won't support people for what they do, no matter what it is. Um, Again, I might not like. I don't like pork. I don't like eating pork, right? But if somebody was a first or a friend of mine and opened the first pork restaurant in Mechanicsburg, you can guarantee I would be there. Yeah, and it says a lot about people's character too, like what they support and why they support things and stuff like that. And I'll tell you too, it's a lot of work. So I don't know. It's funny. It kills me when people say like things like, "Oh, it must be nice," or this all just
Mhm.
seemed to happen. It's like it didn't just seem to happen. What you're witnessing is like 5 or 6 years of planning and then execution. Like I didn't just wake up one day and was like, I'm just gonna open this whole big art center. Like
Right.
no, like life doesn't work like that. So
on the other side of that, white counterparts. Let's get into it. I, were you gonna say something first, or do you want me to ask you a question?
no, go ahead. I was
So
just breathing.
we had a whole talk about this, and I have a series of questions. Um, I guess let me set the scene here. So, being a first in your community, do you feel some sense of like uh a get out kind of scenario, or like people domineering over you or being judgy without necessarily saying it? um
That's a good question. I like that. I like how you phrased that question too. And
yeah,
by get out, if people haven't seen the movie or understand what that phrase means, it's a person who is a well-off black man that literally is living in like an existential hell. There's been a lot of movies like this that look at the black experience from a cinematic point of view, and
right,
shows what we go through. And what
yep,
that is like even if people aren't necessarily directly attacking you or doing things to you, just the passive aggressiveness or the taking away of resources or stuff like that, or hoping that you're
mm-hmm,
failing or whatever, the side eyes, that kind of stuff. It happens to a lot of people, um, a lot of the time. I again, like I felt very supported here. The actual, and I'll say this, like I put it on the map. The borough actually helped me a lot with getting my sign up, and just helping me. Carlisle has a very interesting history and past with the Indian schools and with other areas that they were not very nice to the blacks for.
yeah,
Um, I think that my presence here is the most radical thing I can do, as far as, yeah, like standing against racism, anything like that. I've had people ask me, why open up in Carlisle? Are you sure you want to open up in Carlisle? And the answer is, it's my home. I like it here. I love it here. And yeah, like that's why. There may be people that are uncomfortable with my presence here, that don't like what I'm doing. Again, that I don't know, or that don't know me and they think that I'm just gonna have a bunch of foolishness around. Um, I had a guy that was walking on the street, point at me and then act like he was smacking me. The one day I was standing in front of the shop, and I was with another shop owner, and she was so uncomfortable that she called the police, which I have to give it to her for sticking up for me too. That was really cool. And that's why I feel safe here, because there are people that are here that they're not going to tolerate any kind of what's the word, like exclusionary behavior or threatening behavior.
right.
Now there are people, I'm sure, and I've sensed it, that don't want me here. Like, or they're just, I don't know, but I'm the kind of person, I'll sit next to the devil and ask him, "What are you drinking?" Like. So if anybody wants to be foolish, for me and what I'm doing, then I'm sorry, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm gonna stay here. So
There's a viewer on Instagram who has a question for you. Do you believe you would have had the same success in a predominantly black environment?
that's a good question. Yes, because going back to that cultural festival that was here in town in 2019, I sold every piece of art that I had there, every piece of art. So I sold art while we were doing the dancing too, and I came home with nothing, and that was one of the first confirming um, instances where I was like, wow, okay, people really do appreciate what I'm doing. I do think that I would have the same success. It might be in different areas. So now the storefront here, we do photography, graphic design, web design, and I also do sell the artwork in the gallery area. I think maybe if I was in a predominantly black area, one of the services might do better than the other. So like
Right.
maybe they wouldn't want web design, or they wouldn't appreciate the art as much, but maybe they would like the photography. Like, so I think that's the appeal for the business that I'm running, is that um the demographic that I hit is everyone. Like, there's something here for everyone. A
Yeah.
kid and her dad came in. It was a little girl, a little black girl. She had her hair up. She had her hair up in buns, just like mine. She came in and he just said, "We just want to paint here with you." And I thought that was really cool, and it was really nice. And I don't offer that. Like, it's not marketed, but I was like, sure, you can come in and paint, which I am going to start marketing that though. But yeah, I would think I would have similar success.
A, that's beautiful, and B, what I gathered from that is uh how do you say your name? Is it Tassalim? Tassalim?
I'm
I've
trying to
been
look at these
wondering.
comments,
I
but I'm
have
like,
a
where are these comments at? Like, I
yeah,
wanna I
are
wanna
you watching on Instagram? So that way if you're on Instagram, you can see me live.
me.
Me on my page, on my Instagram.
Okay, let me go to Instagram.
Yeah, the Leon Block underscore official. And we've got a viewer. They said thank you for your transparency. Um, and I agree because what I think now Carlisle and Central PA, the biggest populated black area would be York and would be I see you on now watching would be York and Harrisburg. And Harrisburg has a really big black population, and there is in an art gallery scene. Am I right?
Yeah,
Um
yeah, yeah.
so
Harrisburg scene.
I see what you mean. Like, I feel personally, this is my a personal opinion and assessment, is that like if you were to plant yourself down in the Harrisburg scene, you would have to find more of a niche area. Whereas in Carlisle, it's you, and you can give a fuller experience and have more of a chance to grow exponentially in all areas of art, and not just honing on one area. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
So the interesting thing is, I actually started out in the Harrisburg area. People don't really.
Taslim.
um, Again, like, I grew up in Camp Hill, like, Lemoyne. I was living in Lemoyne for a long time before. That's where I was living before I moved to Carlisle.
Okay.
And I don't know if you or people remember. So the Harrisburg Symphony Orchestra would put on these events where you could listen to the music and fireworks for the 4th of July. And I was actually in charge of the arts side of that, for like a year or two. And that's where I kind of got my start. And I had showings at the Art Association of Harrisburg and stuff too. But it's like I almost when I moved too, it's like my network and connections grew, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So this business started when I was going to Hack, when I was going back for graphic and interactive design. So that's a little bit of the background too, and we can touch that if you want. But yeah, I'm in the Harrisburg art scene, like, and I was in it. I felt like I was in it so much to the point where, again, like, I needed to expand and kind of um, grow. And the reason why I finally was like, I need a space, like, I need a storefront, is because people kept asking me, hey, do you want to be a guest artist here? Do you want to be a guest artist here? Do you want to be a guest artist here? We need your photography services here. We need you to do web design here. And I was like, oh my God. Like, from a business standpoint, I'm like, I'm making money, you know what I mean? So I need to have my own space so that I can actually
Yeah.
invest in myself, and then invest in the community that I'm in too, because I felt like I was getting pulled all different directions, and it was actually worse for me to, because people will say, well, if you don't have a storefront, then you don't have any overhead. Well, that's true, but then you don't have your physical location, so people don't know how to find you. They don't know where you're located, that kind of stuff. Um, no, I think that if I was in the Harrisburg area, and Harrisburg is a big area too, so like,
Yeah.
the same question's been brought up here with Carlisle. Well, do you feel like you're competing with other businesses? I mean, an art gallery is an art gallery, and I do a little bit more than a gallery space too. So I think that
Right.
the more, like, Lancaster is huge on, like, the arts. The more galleries you have, the more vibrant and the more economic people are going to be. So it doesn't make sense to have one art gallery or one graphic designer like in an area, it actually benefits to have people to have more than one.
Agreed. It goes back to what we were saying about like competition. I think that some competition, healthy competition, is good, and I think that that reinforces the fact of giving people choice and promoting creativity. Speaking of creativity, I want to kind of do a little full circle here and jump back into the conversation about art and business, the intersections of them. We kind of touched on. You gave a little bit of a quote uh, the other day, and I'm going to go ahead and show everyone the quotes that you put. So I think you can see yourself there. I don't know if you
Yeah.
can, but um, so the other day you gave a really phenomenal quote. So I just want to get into it really quick. You said art is an exchange of energy, a transmission of thought, and they receive confirmation of emotion and feeling. And business is an energy exchange. Uh, a system of revenue is exchanged for an item. In all purposes, art and business follow the same parameters when it comes to energy. Some businesses fail when they don't have enough startup capital, a broad or specific demographic, or they consume too many tangible objects without having a source. The same goes with art. People hit creative blocks when they are disconnected or have no source. The business of art is being able to take a tangible, well crafted object and to exchange it for what people deem valuable, money, etc. It does not mean that just because someone creates something, others will want to endorse it. It means we need to work on the craft to make it valuable. Sometimes working on the craft itself means working on ourselves first. I think of expression when I hear the word art, meaning any authentic expression. If something is considered commercial art, there may be lack of expression. Whew!
That's bold.
All of that, like that whole thing was a gem. And so I just want to break that down really quick, especially that last part. Um, Sometimes working on the craft itself means working on ourselves first.
Yeah, that's why I said, "Ooh," like I just said that. Like, yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, um, I'll let you go. I'll let you ask the questions, and I'll just
Well,
respond.
the question I just really wanted to say, and I'm gonna let you go, is what do you mean by that? What do you think of when what works for you? When you're working on an art project or a craft or something, and you feel like something's just not working, do you go and take a look at yourself first and work out something first, or like, is there a process behind that? Speak to tell me, let me know when it comes to your blackness, especially. Like, just pour it out, girl.
So, okay. Again, a little bit about me. I am a classically trained artist. I went to school. I went to school for art, and I took classes. I am an art school dropout. My degree is actually in human services. So I'm not just somebody who's completely self-taught. Like I've had some training,
Mhm.
but while I was in school and while I was having the training is where I realized. Again, I'm going to be transparent, especially
Yeah.
since your viewers. I was like, this is such bullshit. Like, um, and the reason why I felt that is because what the school was teaching you to do was to follow directions and to follow the people that have done it before, but they weren't giving a platform to express yourself fully, and also again how to make that valuable or appealing to other people, the business side of the workings and stuff like that.
Right.
So I did hit creative blocks, and going back into the mental health and stuff like the depression and things that I've dealt with. There have been times where I couldn't pick up a paintbrush, or I got frustrated when I'm trying to draw something and I'm like, this isn't coming out the way that I want it to. Um, so I had to sit back and maybe give myself a break and wonder why I was having so many issues with it. Like what was going on with me that I wasn't able to, again, get out what was inside of me. What I found out that the most valuable thing, and this is I hope this is another gem that I drop. When it comes to art, the most valuable thing is the artist themselves, um, and
Whew.
what they're saying and what they're standing for. I'm going to say it again because like I get asked this a lot. Um, art, the artist is the most valuable thing. People aren't buying the art because you use 20 different like cross hatching techniques. It's what are you trying to say with your art? And I've had people that have tried to copy or rip my art off. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm starting to get a name for myself because I'm starting to see things pop up. Like people will call things parties now, like art parties, or they'll use vibrant colors, or I see it. It's obvious
Mhm.
when it comes up in my feed, and I'm like, well, that's curious, isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
But people aren't going to react to people that don't have their own voice because people are drawn to things that are unique or different. That's why the artists that have been known in our history books are known is because they left something behind that nobody else could leave behind, or or they said something or they commented on something. I don't just paint or draw or again like take pictures. There is something in, I mean, you've seen my art, like you probably can understand, like there's something in it that people can feel it. Like they
Yeah.
walk by the doors here too and they'll like stop and they'll look in. And really what I'm trying to emulate and push out is joy. So that's like my artistic, like signature is joy, especially joy in the darkness. And I've had people come to me for consultations, how do you do it? How do I get my name out there and stuff like that? And they think I'm being like an asshole when I say work on yourself. And I've had people that aren't artists that are like, different careers in the entertainment arts ask me the same thing. Like, well, how are you doing this? How are you being successful? And it's like, again, I have two words: self mastery. So when you work on yourself, again, you're going to be more appealing, to the masses if that's
Yeah.
what you want. I
Yeah.
am not a commercial artist. I actually commercial art makes me cringe, and it's because of what I said in that statement. When something's commercial, it loses the individuality and it loses the unique aspect of it. And like for instance, I could take this cup and you'll be like, oh, it's a plastic cup, but then people will be like, well, it's a cup. It's a nice cup. I can make those and sell those for $2.50. But if I make a cup that represents me, maybe I'll make it more curvy. I don't know. But like people are drawn to the again like the unique aspects of their art. Like that's why even people that are master artists that have MFAs are struggling because they haven't found their voice yet. They haven't found their signature, their artistic signature, or they haven't found the confidence to share that signature with other people. It's a whole thing. Like
Mhm.
it's not
Mhm.
like yeah, it's not just well you do this and then this happens, or you go study for 4 or 6 years, get your master's degree, and then you're guaranteed to make so much money with your art. There are people that are phenomenal artists that like cannot sell a painting,
Yeah.
and it's like, why can't they sell a painting? Like, what's the deal? And again, it's about that energy exchange. So maybe they didn't put their full energy into the piece. Maybe I don't know, or maybe they're consuming too much and they're not getting the return of what they put into it.
There's a many different variables, and I think for the bulk, and I'm speaking just about America really quick, but the bulk of us are taught to around third grade put the crayon down and start taking standardized tests. And what happens? We lose our creativity, and here we are at 35 years old and wondering what happened and wanting to pick that crayon back up. And some of us do. I think the pandemic has made many of us pick that crayon back up. But I think overall, there's a lot of people, because of the way society is in America, we don't have enough time or resources or grace to be able to do that self work. But then it also is a choice because life doesn't stop. Life keeps coming at you. And at some point, you have to do that internal work and work on yourself. So there's a lot that you could pull out of that. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, it's just, yes, our society does, it is not good for fostering your creative energy. And again, like to be honest with you, I didn't have any creative, outlets for, I mean, I'm 39 now. I didn't start hitting my peak until I was like 36, 37. So I'm technically like a late bloomer, um, with this all too. Like when I was in my early 20s, so that's the interesting thing. It was art to me, or creativity or expression is akin to breathing. And it was literally killing me to not be able to express or connect. And then again, when it comes to a business side of things, like how is the business profitable and stuff like that, it's because the value, the profit, lies in me, like what I'm trying to express. And it didn't, I didn't just get that, you know what I mean? Like overnight, like it's been years of development, even in my craft. Like if you watch me paint, I can paint a mural in probably a day. In a day, I can paint like a
Ooh.
whole room. And it's because I've studied how to put color down and how to measure, just like even these like lightning bolts behind my head, right?
Right.
People, a lot went into this. Like if you were in this whole room, like there's a whole mural in my room, and I did this on purpose so that whenever I would sit here, these lightning bolts, I'm not even done with them yet, but like it's, you have to become a master in what you're doing. And I wouldn't necessarily, I don't think mastery
Agreed.
is ever attainable. You know, like you have to continue to work on things. It's like Bruce Lee said, you know, like you have to keep working on things. And it's the same thing with art, with business. A chef or somebody might open a restaurant and they might still be fine tuning their chicken breast. You know, like it's a continual growth. People give up when they have to continue to work hard too, by the way. People give up when they're
Hmm.
pushed or when they get
Hmm.
challenged. They're like, "Oh, it's not for me," or "I don't want to do this, it's too hard."
Right.
I've known a lot of people like that. Like especially in like music and the arts. They say,
Yep.
"Oh, I can't go on," because they want immediate success and nothing
Hmm.
is immediate.
Gems. You can't see me snapping, but I'm snapping. Finger snaps. Yes, I think that is a yes, Taslim. It's a segue into kind of the next thing, and we kind of played with it in and out a bit. But in our pre-conversation about the episode, we talked a lot about growth and capital and envy and animosity. They were underlying themes. And I think that when it comes to growth and capital, we ourselves, when it comes to creating our getting into our creativity and creating our brand and figuring out what works for us and who we are and sticking with it, we have an envy and an animosity type of relationship with the growth and the capital. And when I'm speaking of growth and capital, I mean inner growth as a person, right? But also outer growth as an individual in whatever your career is. But then also capital, as in the money that you're making and accumulating and stacking upon, and how long it might take you to grow that money and get to a point where you're actually not just breaking even, but you're making, you know what I mean, money. You're actually going somewhere. And the energy of money that you're honing and flowing within you, the energy of abundance that you may have within you, and the ins and outs of that, because again, progress is not linear. So I think that that was something that you definitely touched on a lot, that you definitely did not give those specific words, but a lot of what we talked about the other day had to do with those four words. Like, so is there anything that like speaks to you when you think of those four words, especially growth and capital?
Hmm. That's actually that's a good question. Hmm. Wow. Okay, so going back to, you know, the past and my upbringing, even though I was raised by somebody who understood capital and understood finances, I never
Mhm.
felt worthy. So I'm going to put everything on the table. Let's do that. Um, Again, I'm a Black woman that grew up with a white mother in a white household. So I never felt that I was enough. I never felt seen. If you want to talk about the Get Out movie, So I struggle a lot with finances. I am divorced. I divorced in 2009. And
2018.
was that?
You said 2018.
No, 2009.
Oh, got you.
So I'm gonna put my ex-husband on blast. I don't care. He was a terrible human being, and he ended up. The reason why we divorced was because he would spend about $500 a week on porn or other activities like that. I was the
Gotcha.
person who I was the one that was in charge of the bank account. And after he did that, and I found out about it because all this money was dwindling, and I was like, "Where's it going?" And he couldn't tell me the truth. But my divorce almost broke me because I was married to a white man too, and it was like this unhealthy relationship with money where I was like, "I'm not worth money," right? Because the money that was supposed to be used for our house or for food or for taking care of us was spent on, again, like pornographic material, that kind of stuff. So I kind of just went on autopilot, and I would just like eat, sleep, whatever. I didn't really save for anything. I wasn't really, I didn't think about a future after the divorce. I was like, whatever, like I'm trying to just not even acknowledge that it happened. So I struggled a lot with, I wouldn't even say self esteem, it's self worth. Am I worth bringing capital in? And a lot of
Mhm.
people struggle with that. A lot of Black and brown women, men
I Yep, yep,
struggle with
myself
that.
included. Hmm.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying it because I know that. Um, when I initially wrote my business plan, I wrote that I wanted to make $60,000 a year. And how would I do that? And then I had a friend, again, a friend who was very supportive, and they said, "Why only 60,000?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Why only 60,000? That's a lot of money for me." And they're like, "No, it's not." And then they kind of said in a way, "You're worth more than that." And I was like, "Wow, damn, like that's super empowering." So then they started sending me books, like books to work on yourself, like how to get into the mindset that you're able to attract, commerce, that you're able to attract capital. So again, I started working on, well, the items that I have in the gallery, are they the highest form that I can put out or the other artists put out, in the gallery too. And once I started changing my mindset, literally, capital started coming in. And whenever you have then I call it it's an energy vacuum. Whenever you're bringing stuff in, there are also going to be people that want to take it out or that don't like that you're bringing it in. This is life, you know what I mean? So somebody, the evil eye, malocchio, jealousy, that kind of stuff. If people see you growing, there are going to be people that want to see you not grow.
Yep.
But you have to prepare yourself, and you have to kind of, I don't know, just not act like they don't exist, but like just kind of keep yourself like in the know, or as kids say, keep your head on a swivel, whatever.
Yeah.
Because the reason why people grow is because they're working on themselves and because there are reasons why they're growing. So if somebody is upset that you are growing or you are gaining money or you're gaining whatever, um, that's not really your battle, like, um, it's not your battle. I love your snaps, by the way. I love them. Yeah.
Yes.
because because it's all a mindset. And there are some books that I could recommend for people in the comments too about
Hmm.
that. Like I would never see myself as a financial coach. I'm not, like, but I will tell you that I started this business with $300 to my name, basically. And it's growing because it's being able to take and maturate or mature what you have and finding the value in things. Um, especially as an artist. So when it goes to the energy and the capital and your creativity, what are you capitalizing on? Like, what is your what are you saying with your creativity? Are you just like making a drawing and you're like, here's my drawing, buy it? Or are you literally putting an energy behind it that people are like, there's something interesting about this. It's rare, it's unique. I want to buy it. You know what I mean? Because that's where people have to kind of tap into, I would say, that hidden energy that's not necessarily around there is the our spirit, our voice.
Huh. All of that. Like, I can we just take a moment to soak in all of what Natalie is saying?
I
Ah,
can't see comments, by the way. Like I can't see
okay.
people. What do
Yes, yes. So Taslim is saying a lot. Like, Lord, she says she wants to connect with you, Queen.
Oh, I
She
can't
said,
see her. Like,
yes, yes.
is this
And
on Instagram?
it's on Instagram. Instagram, yes. And she said also, speaking to like your haters and your motivators, that you need both groups of people because they're both motivation drivers for you. If you don't have those bad thoughts in your ear telling you about, you're doing something wrong or you're not being enough, how are you to know that you need to be all that you can be?
I
Like,
love it.
having both those drivers and both those opposing forces, I think, is what helps to keep us grounded. Like, you're out here speaking gems, sis. It's like, I'm with it tonight. I'm with it tonight. Yes. Um,
So
um,
I got to get my hair bigger since we're on. Let me put it, take it off.
yes. We there's so many different things that I wanted to touch on, little tidbits of things really quick, and I'm trying to like figure out how I'm gonna tie it all together
All
because
right,
we're
all
coming to
right.
the end of our jaunt right now. And obviously I could always go more than an hour. I don't know what you're doing, but I like to keep it an hour because then I can like literally save the episode, but it doesn't mean I can't rip it from something else and then like, you know what I'm saying? So
Why don't we
if
go an
we
hour and 10?
bet, sounds good to me.
I'm just here. I'm just gonna paint. So whatever. Like it's cool.
Awesome sauce. You you said a couple of quotes during our chat the other day that I wrote down. Um, you're not going to get if you can't give.
Ooh, wow.
And seriously, and that speaks, I feel like that speaks such volumes because a lot of us, it goes both ways. It goes both ways, right? Um, but it's a reciprocating thing. Like, how are you to know what to give out if you don't know where the value lies in yourself to gauge what you're supposed to be giving out or how much you're giving out or valuing what you're giving out? Because sometimes people just put out stuff and not putting value in it, therefore people are just getting a bunch of nothing. Does that make sense?
Okay. So I'm not. I'm gonna try to not be on my soapbox for this, but this is. But I love it. So everything is energy, like Tesla said.
Yes.
Everything is energy.
Yes. Talk.
Yeah, that we're both spiritually aligned. We're both very spiritually aligned.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people operate from a place of fear.
Mhm.
Um, fear is probably the most disconnecting thing that we can ever experience. And even myself, like I'll tell you, I had so much fear when I was about to open these doors. Again, because in my mind, to open a business, you had to have $50,000 saved in the bank. You had to have,
Right.
an exit strategy. You want all these things, like absolutely. But like, you can also live your path and purpose and start small and then grow, right? And that's the best way. And that's why I said in the quote that a lot of businesses fail because they invest right from the start. They're like, I'm gonna redo the entire building. I'm gonna get the biggest whatever. We're gonna get the most expensive product, and then they don't have a way to bring that capital back in that they just invested. So then they fail. Instead of, and my bank manager came in here the other day and she said, "You're doing it right," because my business isn't even fully done yet. Like I'm still renovating. I'm in my office right now, but like we're renovating lights, we're renovating the back room. And to some people, I realize people don't think like I do all the time. Like people again, immediacy. So like if you have a business, you have to have it, fully functional, and you have to have all the rugs and all the walls painted and everything from the day
No.
that you open your door. And they don't realize that, again, like a business is to make money or to put your product out there. You can start slow and you can grow. So when it comes to the energy and people living in fear, people, they don't allow themselves to fully be experienced because they're fearful if they don't make it, instead of having the faith to take the steps so that they do make it, if that makes sense.
Oh my God, say that again. Can you say that again, please?
I'm gonna have to write that down. Actually, that was really good. So people operate from a place of fear, um, for fear that they won't make it, instead of taking the steps to make sure that they do. That's it. And that's what it is. Like even in relationships, is that self-sabotage stuff, right? People will
Yes.
say, "Oh, I'm never gonna make this," or "I can't do this," or I'm not going to be successful, or my marriage isn't going to work out. And then their marriage fails because they didn't do everything in their power to make sure that it worked out, or they didn't go after what their heart really wanted. Their heart didn't want the marriage to work out, therefore it's not going to work out, if that makes sense. My heart is in my art, if that makes sense. And that's why my art is being successful, because my voice is literally in everything that I touch. I try to make sure that it is anyway. And that's why when people look at something that I create, they're like, okay, Natalie made this because it's in there. Like my spirit is in that stuff, just like your spirit is in these shows and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
And the other one other thing I wanted to touch on too is that, and that this is very rebellious of me to say as a Black woman, but it's something that, again, people need to understand. There is money everywhere. You just have to know where to look for it. And again, it's going to take a lot. It's a lot of work. But you literally, we live in America, and I used to hate living in America. To be honest, I couldn't stand it here. I mean, America's got its issues. But one of the things I like is literally, I mean, you can make a killing putting feet videos and photos up on the internet and stuff like that. You literally, if you want to do something and make something, there are ways out there to do it and make it. You just have to ask sometimes too.
I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. And those words are powerful. I got some comments for you real quick.
Okay.
The
Where is
only
Instagram? Because I'm going to go on
Instagram, yeah. The only thing bigger than fear is hope. Just so true. And Taslim said, perfection has been a barrier to me being my most creative person, that amongst other things. And I can definitely agree with that for myself, and I'm learning to find my own balance, because everything that you're saying resonates with me, and I've gotten to a point where I know these things, and I'm trying to I'm not trying, but I'm in the midst of retraining myself and forming new habits of the way that I speak to myself, and the oh wow, really? The welcoming in of certain energies. That's weird. That is so weird.
We're trying to figure out why I can't see the comments. Like, it's not showing up on my weird. So if I'm not answering, it's why it's not coming up on my media.
Yes. But I did I will share. I did actually put Natalie Dohman's tag for InDesign Art House on the Instagram page to the Instagram comments, so you can go check out her Instagram page via here, and you can go over to our Facebook page, and her website and her Instagram link and her Facebook link is all in the comments on our Facebook page as well. So any information that you're looking to get from Natalie, or if you're looking to speak with her, contact her, get some information from her, buy art from her, come visit her storefront, you could do so via any of the links that we've posted in the comments via Instagram and Facebook. I just wanted to drop that real quick. And you did speak to capital and growth, and specifically me believing in myself. So while we're at it, you can always donate to the Leon Block. The Venmo and the Cash App is yes, thank you, right there to go ahead representing for me, fam. every little bit of donations goes a long way to ensure that we can keep providing not only topics such as this, but providing the well-needed news that we all want and deserve. Again, June 18th, we will be hitting DC up and interviewing people that are descending on DC for a mass mobilization in support of workers' rights and voters' rights, as well as celebrating Juneteenth weekend. So please help us keep going. Now, back to you, Natalie. We touched on just the reciprocation and the growth and manifestation of not the physical money. Yes, the physical money, but you can't have physical money without manifesting the energy first, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of, for me personally, I think that's what a big part of mastering. um we talked about the intersections of art and business, and art is you and art are one and intertwined, but adding the business into it and taking those two things and blending them into one takes understanding that energy and transferring and being a magician, if you will, of sorts. It was wonderful having you, Taslim. Thank you for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Yeah, I think it really is a matter of being a magician of sorts and transferring that energy into creating a nice abundance. And I think once one has that, I think things come in and they pour in, as you were describing, and as I feel a lot of other people describe as well. And when I listen to many other Black creatives, whether they're in independent music and they're creating their own music without having any restrictions or people breathing over their necks. When I think of artists that have found what works for them and found that every breath they breathe, they're breathing life into what they create and they're living authentically them. There's no compromising against that, and you can see that the energy of money flows through them, and I can feel and see that with you.
So I don't like, one thing is people always tell me, "Oh, you have a lot of energy." I
Mhm.
hear that all the time. You have a lot of energy. And I do have a lot of energy. And I have even more now. And the thing is, again, like, it takes a lot of work to be a self-starter, to be,
Mhm.
self-promoter, that kind of stuff. I'm a tiny person. I'm only 5'2", and I'm like a dog. I get tired, like, and I have to take my naps and stuff, but then I'm full on it. When you have a lot of energy, wherever you direct it is where it's going to grow. So if you, again, like going back to the fear, if you direct your energy onto fear or on to not being good enough or not making enough, then you won't, because that's where your energy is directed. If you direct that energy to how do I become the best, or a race car driver, how do I become the best violinist? If you start looking at books and reading about that or spending your time with that, then that's where you're going to grow. It's all about where we put our focus and our energy, and it's that's the most uncomfortable lesson to learn, I think, with anything. And again, as far as the art goes, I think it's, what am I trying to say with my art? What am I trying to express? Um, and how am I supposed to? How am I being an individual with my expression? How am I not? Because a lot of times, and you understand this too, we
Mhm.
are the sum culmination of everything that's around us. So sometimes
Mhm.
people, they copy or act a certain way because that's what they're around. So how do you tap in to find your own voice? That should be an episode for another time, because that's a whole.
Seriously, I'm gonna write that down for real. How do you find your own? How do you tap into finding your own voice?
Right.
Yo, seriously, we have so many topics we gonna cover.
I've been having a
um,
blast. I like doing these.
seriously,
This is cool. This is fun.
there was a bunch of other things that we kind of like touched on our conversation, but the next thing that I really wanted to touch on really quick, you just brought it up: intellectual property.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thoughts on that right off the bat?
Um, that's something else that people don't, get taught when they go to school. I mean, like you do a little bit, like, like if you use photos, they have to be your own photos, that kind of stuff. But like, there's actually a formula, that you use to make sure that you're not ripping stuff off. And I mean, the big thing is like, you can't, we all are inspired. We all are inspired. I'm inspired by you, like I'm inspired by other people. There are friends that I'm inspired by. Like I might take their picture, right? And I even had somebody that was like, don't sell my photo, or he said, don't put it in a gallery. And I said, well, why not? Oh, this is a good one. This is challenging. I don't care. We'll talk about this. It was a white
Right.
guy. It was a white guy. And he said, and I took a photo of him, you know, um, I provided him free photos for something
Mm-hmm.
to be nice. And then he said, I don't want it in a gallery. And he signed the contract, by the way, too. That's what it says. And I said, well, can I ask you why you don't want it in a gallery? And he said, again, because I challenged him, because
Yeah.
I know why. He didn't want me to make money off of it. So then I said
Right.
to him, why don't you want me to make money off of it? I was like, I am the artist. I'm the one that saw it. So do you not want me to be compensated for my vision? And that's, again, people, it's this whole thing, because people want to be seen, they want to be known, but then they don't want to elevate somebody else. And like, I've been
Yep.
a model for other people, and like, they've sold their work, and they use it on their Instagrams and stuff. And I'm okay with that, because
Mm-hmm.
again, you have to have the belief that there's enough money and there's enough energy for everyone, which there is. And then you draw on that. If you're going to be stingy with your energy and you're stingy with your money, you're not going to get anything back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's same with art. Like if you're like holding on to everything and you're like, I can't let, I mean, be smart about it. But like, if somebody inspires someone, let them inspire them. Let them, oh my God, like that. It's a control thing. Like, and I understand it. But when it comes to artists, like, do you think that like, any of like the big like pop artists and stuff, like, do you think people were like, no, I mean, some people would say like, no, they don't want to model, or they don't want their image shown or whatever. But it's like, but then once they make it, or they like level up a certain point, then that's when people want to be part of your stuff too. It's this crazy, like,
Right.
yeah. Oh, and I always hear too, like, remember me when you get famous, and it's like,
What?
okay. Okay. But then it's like, the way that I remember people, and that a lot of artists remember people, is by creating art with them. And I had this conversation yesterday with somebody. I said, the reason why I take so many pictures is because it's a way for me to create memories, you know? And,
Yes.
yeah. And if
Yes.
people are thrown off by images being used in a gallery and intellectual property rights, that's why you use a contract. I use contracts for everything I do. People can't stand it, but I'm like, you want your photos taken? Contract. You want a web design?
Mm-hmm.
Contract. You want
Mm-hmm.
whatever? Contract. Because I'm not going to have, rights or anything like that infringed upon myself either. And I understand.
No. I completely agree. I think when we throw race, I'm just gonna say when we throw race into intellectual property, it becomes a whole different ball game. And white folks like to police and check and domineer and condescend and like, look over, what are you doing over here? I'm not interested in buying anything from you, but I just want to see what you're doing so I can have something to say about it. Or just know what you're doing. You're in my town, so I just want to be in your business. That's all.
Okay, can we go on that
Oh
tangent
yeah.
for 1 second
Oh
before
yes.
before
Yes,
we
please.
head off,
Hmm.
because this is about the business. So again, I have a storefront. The storefront has a gallery space. We do classes here, and we do the web design, photography, and everything else. Behind the gallery space are the offices, and then the photography studio. Cool. I can tell, because you asked about support. I can tell who really supports what I'm doing and who just wants to be nosy.
Oh
I
yeah.
the people that support me, they come in, they're curious about what I'm doing, and they'll buy something, even if it's like $5 or 20, whatever. They'll buy the cheapest thing that we have here. Fine. Then there are people that come in and they're asking questions. Oh, so you just threw this together like overnight, or can I see the back? Can I see the other places? And at
What?
this point, I'm going to start saying no, no, you can't. Sorry,
No. No.
because they're trying to encroach upon what I'm doing, and I see it, and we're not going to do that. Like, um, there are some people that are notorious for that, and it causes a twitch in me because I cannot fathom going into somebody's place of business that I know loosely and going up to them, not even saying congratulations. That's another thing too. If you don't say congratulations to me or you're not excited about what I'm doing, I'm already like no. Because if you're just coming in and you're looking around and you're like, wow, the space is so big. Like, yeah, yeah, it is big. Like, and they're, oh, how do you take care of it? Like,
You know what that translates to? You couldn't possibly. This
I
could
know,
not
I know,
possibly
I
all be
know,
yours,
I know.
or you don't know what to do with this place. It's
Yeah,
too big for you. You don't deserve that. How did you
yes,
afford all of that? You're black. All of the above, I'm sure.
yes,
But they're not going to directly say that. Hmm.
right. So that's why when people come in and they want to see the back or see what I'm up to, like, I'm just like, no, like, because that's the other thing too. Like, I'm working. Like, there are things that I'm working on. If you would like to make a purchase, we can make a purchase. But I'm not
Mm-hmm.
here to show you parts of myself for you to openly judge them or analyze what it took for me to get here. If you would like to have a consultation, you can email me at natalie@designarthouse.com and we can consult you on your web or your graphics.
Okay.
Or yeah, or stuff like that. But you are not just going to sit here and come into my space and mill around is a better way to put it. Drives me nuts. Like,
Talk
again,
about
because
it.
I can't see, I can never imagine doing that to somebody. Like, it's like somebody doing a strip search. You know what I mean? Like, on
Mhm.
on your, yeah, it's weird. It's weird and it's cringy. I don't like it.
Going back to the theme here, we talk about Get Out. That's it's the same kind of thing.
I know.
Like,
I
and
know.
I think all of black folk at some point in time can relate in that kind of thing. It definitely gives the cringy feels of like someone like all domineering up in your head, inspecting. Oh my god, your hair is so beautiful, even if like they haven't touched your hair and they really want to because they're so like inspecting, like Inspector Gadget all up in every single coil, and it's like, you can back up a little bit. Would you like a
Oh,
history
I
lesson?
was as I was describing this, I literally was picturing somebody, like, going through and being like, "Your hair is so beautiful. Is that real?"
Right? That's exactly it. Like, that's all your store? Is this real? That can't be all your store. They're like, nope, it's all mine. It's all real. That's mine.
I'm laughing because it's so accurate, like, it's so real.
Right.
Oh
But
my
you know
god.
what? If I think this is still significant because it shows that we're doing something. We're not just sitting and letting things uh stay the same. We're not, sitting in our stagnicity, if that's a word, and letting we're not we're checking other people, and more importantly, we're checking ourselves. We're stepping into our lights. We're letting it be known that the energy that's out there is not just the energy of money, but the energy of higher self-esteem, and coming into your own, and really owning who you are. And that self-ownership, like you were speaking to, going back to it, is what can give you that ownership of your business and that ownership of your creativity. tying all that back together. Woo! Yes.
I'm using class. I don't care.
I realize
Oh,
how well I do it. Like I do what I do and I do it well.
I want to just
Um,
come back to what you were saying quick
mhm,
about
mhm.
the ownership on energy too.
Yeah.
You had and about animosity with capitalism and stuff like that. When
Mhm.
you're successful, you also shine a light onto others to reach that potential, and that makes people uncomfortable because you're
Yes.
setting a standard. Okay, so it's that whole if I can do it, you can do it too. And some people get mad because they're not doing it, and they think that they've done enough, and
Mhm.
then it's really literally saying to them, work harder.
Yes.
So for me, as a black woman, to to sit there and say that to some people, I mean, it's 2022. People are struggling, financially. Businesses are struggling. So for me
Mhm.
to be positioned and postured in a way that we're doing well, like we're growing. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's shining a light on other people's cracks, and I'm not necessarily doing it, but
Right.
it's my presence that's doing it. um, yeah. So that's another interesting element to being a small business owner.
We don't learn enough from other people's experiences and paths so that we don't have to go through those same very things, but maybe that we can become better and be inspired by those that have, you know, um, ironed out certain cracks and figured out what works for them, and we can draw inspiration from that and figure out what works for us for ourselves. And I think there's not enough of that going on in the world. So we need more people like you, Natalie, more people to showcase that you can live through experience. You don't necessarily have to go through it yourself, but if you do, that's all right too.
So
Either
that's the other
way,
thing too.
yeah.
I am not. I always was the same person now that when I was younger. I've had the same resiliency. I've had the same drive. I've had the same determination. My spirit is the same, but I sure as hell didn't have anything easy or handed to me.
Hmm.
And I think people sometimes forget that, or they don't understand that, or and yes. So the other thing that I realized that was standing in my way is that I was asking other people for help. I was asking people, to donate or to sponsor or whatever. And then I found out, I was like, again, like there's money out there for me to use for this. Like I can rely on
Hmm.
myself. So when I stopped relying on other people and relying on myself to make my life, that's when it started
Hmm.
changing. And I'm very aware of that too. Like, and that goes into self-worth. I didn't think that I was worth, having things. But then the universe is like, no, like you're worth it. So the universe did what it had to do to get me to this space, because I would have been too scared to accomplish it on my own initially.
Yo, this interview is going it's gonna go down in history. You give me, oh my goodness, such feels. Um, I think we're gonna get ready to wrap up because we're at like an hour and 20 minutes in. uh, but I do want to leave people with a couple more quotes that you said. Um, you said, "I am the commodity." Yes, you are. You in fact quite are. Um, and then another thing I really got from you was, you started from the bottom, but you're here and you're still going. And I think that's important for people to know. And you've talked about that throughout this whole interview is that, again, progress is not linear, but also once you get to a point that you deemed would be the point where you make it, it doesn't mean that everything is finished and said and done. We're always a canvas that can be, added onto or redone. And there's always more to learn. But speaking of, I personally am very grateful for what I've learned from you on this episode today. And I hope that viewers have gained a lot of retro and introspection and take away a lot to think about after this interview. I know that I will and that I did. So, Natalie Dohman, you literally are a true gem, and I can't thank you enough for being on the show. We are going to have you on very very soon another time for another topic, two more topics actually that we talked about. But is there anything you'd like to let people know, and also shout out your art gallery, your website, let people know all that kind of stuff.
So I am Natalie Dohman. I am the founder CEO of N Design Art House, HAUS, located in Carlisle, Pennsylvania at 15 North Hanover Street. We are a gallery. We also do web design, photography, logo design, all of your brand management needs is women owned and operated. And we do have other artists that work here in house. If you'd like any of our services, you can go to our website, our Facebook page. We love what we do. We have a lot of fun. And I just want to give a huge shout out to all the artists that have their stuff in the gallery space. Chad Whitaker, Felicia Wong, Shauna Beaver, all of them. And thank you to everybody that has supported me thus far, including you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It is always a pleasure to have you. And like she said, go check out her stuff. She has a website, Facebook, and Instagram. You go check out. We put the links in the comments here for you. And while you're at it, check our shit out too. The Leon Block _ official on Instagram. We are live right now, but I'm going to wrap up. Boom. Love y'all. Ending that video for Instagram. Y'all can check that out later. Also, we do have our Facebook and YouTube that we're airing right now. You can share this stream if you have not already. Follow, like, and support. We also will be streaming later on to Twitter tonight, and we'll be uploading this episode to Spotify. While you're at it, at the bottom of the screen, you can check out all of our links. Yes, thank you, Natalie. Our Instagram, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and you can also donate at the bottom of the screen. Our Venmo, our Cash App. You can email us at theleonblock@gmail.com or call us 484-909-0873. We love to hear from you. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Natalie, it's been a pleasure. Make sure you all meditate on your path, celebrate your being, liberate your spirit, and educate yourself. I'm John Tell. Have a good one.